Welcome back to the nice, toasty, warm Chicago. From SIBO Global Markets, we've got Nvidia getting blocked. They can't import what President Trump says they can import because China doesn't want it. Well, we'll see about that, as well as today's look at sports and stocks on the Rebel's Edge. Watch this.
Last night, baby. The Heisman Trophy. I mean, that's the guy who wants it, right? I mean, that guy wanted the end zone. Like no quarterback I have ever seen, John. I mean, He's taking hits, he's swinging around, he's doing everything. And then when it's all said and done, he lunges over the goal line. I mean, the whole season, and I know we'll hit this on sports, but the entire season, this team has really just risen to every single occasion. You know, they just boom, 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 and it's unbelievable. And you know what? For the Heisman Trophy winner to make that play during that game, during the national title, and you're playing against it doesn't get much better than that. I know we got another video later that we'll be showing before we talk a little bit about that game last night.
Yeah, boy, what a game. And just as the person who made that meme said, Pete, you watch it and you think that it's like, Oliver Stone doing on any given Sunday. He gets hit, he spins, anybody else goes down, he puts his hand down, spins again, and then lunges for the end zone with the ball extended.
Yeah.
It was a pretty amazing game. And Miami, for all the crap people gave Miami, about getting in over Notre Dame and things like that, they were like a hair's breadth away from winning it all, Pete. That is a damn good football team. A lot of those players will be playing on Sunday, I guarantee.
One of the best D lines I've ever seen.
Yep.
And how about just the running back himself, John? I mean, 6'2", 230-pound kid who can run like a damn deer.
Fletcher Jr.
Oh my gosh. I mean, so it wasn't like Indiana thumped them necessarily because this went back and forth. And there were times where Indiana was very dominant, but I'll tell you what, all the credit in the world for what Miami did during that game. I mean, it was they answered many times. They just couldn't answer at the very end.
Yep. Well, we'll talk about Cristobal and the coach for Miami and maybe how he had a secret plan, Peter, for Mendoza. But we'll get to that after we briefly mention Greenland, because Greenland is, of course, why the market's down hard. Because the president's like, I'm thinking about maybe I like this place. But I'll instead of focusing just on Greenland, Pete, because it affected the markets by 1.25%, and that's it. It just stopped right there on a dime.
Yeah.
So I'll say Nat Gas to its highest level, best day in 4 years, Pete. Best day in 4 years for Nat Gas, up better than 25%.
Well, and you're right, spot on, John. And the reason I know that with all the confidence in the world is a bunch of my buddies who are in Oklahoma. Hey, guys, we talked throughout the day. Those guys know nat gas and oil like nobody I've ever seen. And it's absolutely incredible. And they would agree, John. I mean, it's the move in nat gas. And one of the guys has definitely called it. I mean, he's been all over this thing. So they're the guys who throughout the day will say, you seeing anything in nat gas? You seeing anything in oil? And I'm like, well, and I scanned it. Quite frankly, John, we really haven't seen as much energy as we would probably expect, given all the circumstances of what's going on. So interesting to see how that whole thing's playing out. I'm going to just say real quickly, Greenland is obviously, the catalyst of the day. There is no doubt. You already said that, but some of the threats of tariffs and so forth with Europeans and blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's the president is not afraid to shake things up, and we learned that last year in April, and we're learning it once again as we get to the latter part of January. But it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. And John, quite frankly, and I like many of the things the president has suggested or wants to do or whatever, but this one, I just don't know why we have to do it. I don't know why we have to own it. But there's probably a lot of different answers to that question.
Well, and it's the same country, as it turns out, Pete, that we bought the Virgin Islands from.
Right.
I mean, the U.S. Virgin Islands were not called the U.S. Virgin Islands until 1917, folks. Mm-hmm. Denmark owned those, and we bought them for $25 million in gold. So some dip on TV, Pete, is likely to say, well, 25 million back then is really this much in today's dollars. And it's like, no, we didn't give them paper. They insisted on gold. So 25 million in gold. Take a look at where gold was in 1917, folks, and look at where it is now. So it's not just, it's a simple calculation based on the currency. Not at all. It's based on gold. It's in the hundreds of billions today based on what we paid back then, which was next to nothing. But
right.
All right. Well, how about VIX, Pete? What do you got on the volatility metric?
Well, it's interesting, John. Of course, we spiked. We were down 700 points at one point, and we've been bouncing around and coming, off of those lows, then getting hit once again. I mean, it's been a pretty volatile day. Yeah, we got and penetrated over 20 on a couple of occasions. Actually got all the way up to 2069 and then eased back just a little bit. And it's interesting, John, because the VIX is fighting this thing. I mean, it truly is. It's interesting to see. I mean, we did have some option paper not long ago that we talked about already, but that VXX, short-term volatility index. But in terms of the VIX itself, John, we're back underneath 19 right now at the moment. So we'll see how this plays out. But interesting to see how it spiked the way it did, but how quickly it started to pull right back once again. So, it's all going to be dependent on this whole thing with Greenland, in my opinion. I mean, that is what's driving it and drove it up right early, and probably will drive it back and forth for the next couple of days as this probably plays out.
As Pete said, folks, we're back under 19. In fact, I've shown us negative on the day for the VIX on several occasions, Pete. Right around 1884 was where we closed last night. Like Pete said, we went up over 2069 or so, and then boom, they let them have it with both hands, Pete. Yeah. They weren't buying up there. They were selling. All right, let's talk about the poly market and Super Bowl champs, shall we, Pete?
Yeah, let's do it.
Gives you a little bit of a preview of the weekend, and then, of course, a couple weeks from now for the Super Bowl. Seattle dominated, almost a 40% chance to be the Super Bowl champs. Los Angeles, 27% chance. New England, 27% chance. Rough numbers. Denver, no shot. No shot. Not without Bo Nix, Pete.
I was going to say the quarterback.
I was going to say, do you agree with that, or do you think Stidham might be able to just pull something off like Carson Wentz or whatever when he won it for Philly?
Yeah, that's a great question, John, and I don't think we have an easy answer to that question. This is a guy who's played not a snap in this year. Now he has played for the Raiders, the Las Vegas, Nevada Raiders, but that wasn't this year. So he hasn't been on the field. It's interesting, but you can understand why. And then, of course, if you're New England, you're going to come in with an attitude of, we're going to throw blitzes at this guy. We're going to catch him off and we're going to do all the things that we've got to do to be able to beat these guys. I think it's too bad that Denver's not, at full health because, quite frankly, John, these are the best four teams. These are the best four teams this year. The Rams, Seattle. I think the Niners were a great team, but the problem with the Niners was that, as always seems to happen the last 4 or 5 years, injuries out the wazoo. And, it really hurt them defensively. It hurt them a little bit on the offensive side, too. So, too bad for them. But I'll tell you what, that NFC West, watch out, because outside of Arizona, those other three are absolutely unbelievably good football teams, well coached. And unfortunately for the Niners, they just can't stay healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a lot of speculation, Pete, that some of those electronic waves right outside the stadium and practice facility might be part of that.
Yeah.
We'll have to see. All right. Well, let's dive right into RAPT Therapeutics, Pete, because RAPT, folks, is up 64% on the day. This one's just flying to the upside. The 52-week high was prior to this 57.61, which we hit today, Pete. And it's up $22+. They're basically clinical stage immunology based bio-pharma. And my gosh, news is GlaxoSmithKline, I guess they're going to get them, Pete.
Yeah, it sure looks that way, John. I mean, of course, they're putting up a pretty decent amount of cash on this whole thing. $2.2 billion, $58 per share. So, yeah, pretty interesting to see how this whole thing is playing out. You and I have been talking about this more and more, it seems, over the last 6 months, 9 months, but the gobbling up of some of these biotechs by some of the big boys out there. And I think this is just another great example of that. I mean, this is oncology. This is in inflammatory diseases. It's all the rest of it. The one issue that I have with this, John, now that they obviously like what they see and they like what the stages look like going in front of the FDA, but they're only at phase 2 as of right now, and they're not going to be in phase 3 until late 2026. So this is an investment to the future, and it's obviously the risk of what if, like for instance, what if phase 3 doesn't actually get approval, and then what? So this is a gutsy play, I think, by GSK, but they obviously have looked at this very closely and think this makes a heck of a lot of sense. They think they're going to be able to get positive results, and with that could be huge. So yeah, great for RAPT Therapeutics, no doubt.
Well, let's switch gears and go into one of the headlines of the day, which is, Pete, that China customs officials have blocked, literally blocked shipments of the AI processors from Nvidia going into China. Now, seems like they're playing a little bit, Pete, because at first they really wanted these and Trump wasn't willing to give them. Then allegedly they stripped out some stuff that we thought was like national defense kind of level stuff. And then China now says, nope, don't want them. Well, China has been messing around with the president a lot, Pete. So they're jousting just as much as he's jousting. And this was an order for 1 million of these chips. So it's not small potatoes. And on Thursday, Pete, Nvidia does a monthly meeting with analysts and so forth. And I think it's broadcast as well for those of you who want to listen to it. But it's pretty amazing that the stock's only down 3.5%, but this is a pretty significant deal today.
Yeah, it is. And, the fact that they halted the H200, John, is something that it just shows you that they don't want to look like they're getting pushed around, would be my best guess, right? I mean, their ego has sort of stepped in front of them, and they're now trying to joust, as you said, with President Trump and some of the things that have gone on. I think eventually they're just going to break and they're going to want this, but it certainly is an interesting time. And to your point, John, the fact that Nvidia is down 3%, not 13% or something of that nature, tells me that a lot of folks are starting to think, well, this is now, but this might be resolved fairly rapidly. So they don't want to overly sell this thing, I think, going in. That being said, this is going to be a headache for a little while. And it certainly is going to be a headache, I think, for Nvidia as they, pause through this. As you said, this is 1 million orders of this particular chip. So it's interesting. It's size. It's all of that. And I think that Jensen Huang will probably have a meeting or two with the president at some point in the not too distant future, John. And aren't they both over there right now, over there in Davos? I'm not sure, but they could be, I think. I don't know. I know the president is, but it'll be interesting.
Yeah, and like I say, that meeting, by the way, that monthly meeting is Thursday, folks. So just 2 days from now. to Pete's point about how quickly this could turn. All right, let's talk. We started off with RAPT Pharmaceutical, Pete, that clinical stage bio-pharma. This one is absolutely killing it as well, Pete. CRVS Pharmaceutical, basically another clinical stage biotech, announced plans to initiate a mid-stage trial for their lead asset. And the stock is up 100% now. I mean, it was an $8 stock last night, Pete. That's where it or last Friday, sorry, where it closed. Today, it's almost back to $16 a share. So there's a lot going on here with CRVS, and people are just willing to bet an awful lot of money that somebody is going to be perhaps shopping and taking a look at these guys next.
Yeah, sure seems that way, John. I mean, mid-stage trial, and they're going pretty crazy about this whole thing. They do have a drug that's in phase 3 as well, T-cell lymphoma drug. So they do have that, but it's the highest level that they've been, the stock itself, since 2017. So it gives you a little bit of an idea. Are there some shorts that are getting squeezed right now? Absolutely. This thing's been up as much as 99%. So sure, I mean, I would say that those shorts that are there are not very happy, and they're definitely getting squeezed, and they're probably getting pretty daggone nervous about this whole thing. The cash burn is high. You look at all the different factors that go into the, this sort of the world of therapeutics and pharmaceuticals and so forth, John. But this drug for different skin conditions certainly has people pretty excited about what the results are looking like right now, and very encouraged, but it's in early stage. I just always want to put that out there because John, but when you're in phase 1, that is just sort of the beginning of this whole thing, right? And then you've got to get to 2. And then, of course, once you get to 3, you're damn close, and people get pretty interested in, hey, this isn't that far away from getting in front of these guys and saying, hey, this is approved. They're in phase 1 right now with this one. So just understand that, yeah, it's a great move. This is an unbelievable move to the upside. But there's still plenty of different hurdles in the way before you get there. And you have to understand that, because John and I have been trading these stocks forever, it feels like, in the biotech world, and they can turn on a dime. So just be careful, because you know what? Nothing is locked in right now, and there's still a few hurdles they got to get over.
Well, let's close up the stock conversation, Pete, with this one. Imagine that, another Immunity Bio, which is IBRX. It's only up like 30% today. Last week, it had a phenomenal week as well. And they added like 15, 16% in the pre-market, Pete. And then they've doubled up on that, basically because they're getting updates on one of their biologics license applications, or an SBLA. That's a big deal for any of these clinical stage biopharmas, biotechs, whatever you want to call them. And they're just coming at us fast and furious, Pete. And this is another one where, boy, the shorts normally have at least 1 or 2 that they're feasting on. These, just the opposite.
Yeah, absolutely. Bladder cancer, obviously that's a big deal that they're talking about. That's one of the things that is being, talked about. But there's a positive thing that really does stand out for me, John, as I was kind of going through just the ins and outs of what's going on with the stock itself, because I'm not familiar with this one. I wasn't all that familiar with this one until we started looking at it today and see that the stock is up as much as this, 30+%. Huge short interest, as we oftentimes will find. But how about this? The price to sales decline. That's a good thing. From 121 to 40 in the last year. Gives you a little bit of an idea of these guys are actually getting somewhere, John, in terms of what are they doing and how are they doing it? Well, they're getting a heck of a lot more efficient with what they've got, and it's interesting to see. So this is a company that I think that we ought to keep on our computers and pull it up every once in a while and just see what's going, what's the latest thing, and so forth. Because the FDA is a part of this whole thing, and this label expansion that they're looking for this bladder cancer drug is another. But the fact that they're getting that much more efficient just shows me that these guys are serious. And it's tough in the biotech world because you're burning cash until you actually can get some of these things approved, right? And so that's that's the issue that oftentimes that people have to understand. And that's exactly what these guys have to deal with. But they're getting a little bit further and further along. So it should be interesting to see how this plays out.
I agree. Well, now one of your favorite parts of the show, Pete, and the viewers as well, is when we get to talk some sports.
Sure.
So we get to cover some stocks, and today we had some monster movers. But now, take a look at this video, Pete, of a hit that I think Cristobal, and he's the head coach of Miami, of course, and I know they wanted to get some hits on the Heisman Trophy winner. And just watch this and tell me, Pete, in any other game, if this is something that they don't like throw the flags and the whole field it looks like a laundromat from all the flags being thrown. But this was
Who are you rooting for? I think everyone can agree that this was a dirty hit. Very late, definitely targeting, and deserved ejection. And as if Mendoza's bloody lip isn't enough evidence, he literally released his ball to the running back at least 2 seconds before the linebacker smashed him in the head. So it's easily a late hit, and the linebacker lowers the crown of the helmet, launches forward, definitely targeting. But according to Kirk Herbstreit, Miami's defensive coaches literally told their players to hit Mendoza as often as possible. And I guess they took that literally, and it looks like Cristobal has no problem with it. But I guess we shouldn't be surprised, especially since the last time Miami was good, their nickname were the Convicts. So I'm just saying, if they want to play dirty, they need to actually be properly reprimanded for it. I don't care who you're rooting for. I think everyone can agree that this.
Yeah, I agree with her, Pete, that was I rooting for Mendoza? Yeah, I was. I mean, our brother, folks, suffered with ALS, and Mendoza's mom has MS. But I think, Pete, she primarily has to type her, to her son. It's really difficult for her to speak and all the rest. Now, that doesn't mean that, because of that alone, he should get special treatment. He should not get special treatment.
No.
But when you lower the crown of your helmet to hit a guy, especially a quarterback, that's called in every level of the sport except at the national championship game. I mean, again, I think the Miami coaches should say, get a hit on this kid as often as you can, but you don't come in and, try to headbutt the guy and all that kind of stuff, Pete. That should be called. It wasn't, and that's on those officials, because there's not just one guy that could have called that. Several of them could have called that. So I'd say that is a dirty play that they got away with.
By the way, John, that was one of 3 that were dirty plays on the quarterback, hitting him late on purpose, trying to hurt him. Which, you know what? I was an aggressive linebacker. You were an aggressive linebacker. When I hit people, I was hopefully at full speed when I'm nailing these guys and stuff. But clean hits, right? I mean, that's what it's all about, is clean hits. When you start doing what they were doing to the quarterback, that was only in the first half. And Cignetti got up there afterwards, as they're going into the locker rooms, and they interviewed him, and he talked about that. He goes, I can't believe, why aren't they throwing the flag? And it's not like he's complaining. He's just saying, hey, look, how do they miss that? It's amazing. And it does stand out when it's your quarterback. It's a different game altogether. Is that a wide receiver, is the running back? And I'm not saying that those guys should be getting hit, but that he was literally done with the play, still just basically standing there and then getting tagged right in the head. So not that part of it bothered me. I thought it was Bush League, and I thought, you know what? This kind of feels like the days like she just intimated, the U and the convicts and everything else. I mean, that was not cool. That part was not cool. But you know what? I think he felt pretty damn good about that touchdown run that he had, John, when he went through the entire defense. Seemed like all 11 guys took a shot at him on that one whole thing, and then he lunged it over. So that was pretty daggone great. All right, should we get to the NFL a little bit?
Let's do it. Not for long.
Not for long. It's not for long, John. I mean, think about this. 32 teams in the NFL, right? I'm pretty sure it's 32. Yep. So you got 32 teams in the NFL, and it's either 10 or 11 coaches have been fired this year. Let's say it's 10, because I think it is 10. But we're starting to see a little bit of the process now, right? And we're starting to see a little bit of this closing up some of the jobs. But isn't it amazing, John? So for 9 years, Sean McDermott has been coaching the Buffalo Bills. and doing a damn good job. They were, they were kind of, an afterthought for a lot of people. Although let's not forget, they went to multiple Super Bowls in the past too.
Under Marv Levy.
Under Marv Levy, yeah. And one of the greats, by the way. The guy was an absolute classic. But
he was.
Yeah, so McDermott's there, and the poor guy just can't seem to get it to the point where they get over the hump. It was Kansas City for a long time. They just couldn't get over it, and now it's, whomever. But you've got Josh Allen, arguably one of the best players, not just quarterbacks, but players in the entire NFL. And if somebody wants to challenge you and I on that, John, because I know we agree. Okay, the guy can run he's as big as a tight end. He can run like a running back. Just take a look at some of his stats someday. And, of course, he's a quarterback with a cannon for an arm. So he's got a lot of the pieces to the puzzle, but it's just not happening. I know that we've got Harbaugh going to the Giants. Stefanski's going to Atlanta. We're starting to see more and more of that, John, but we've got Miami, Tennessee, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Vegas, Arizona, Cleveland. I mean, this year has been absolutely amazing, right? I mean, think of all those openings that are there, right? Yeah. So any thoughts at all to who might make the best move on this whole thing?
Well, again, I put it to injuries, Pete, why Buffalo just hasn't been able to get over the hump. Yeah. Whether it's, that big defensive end that they got from Denver, Pete, that then got hurt almost, just as he was starting to make an impact again. They have just had problem after problem with injuries as well. Perhaps not as many as San Francisco, but, I seem to remember, Pete, up there at Mile High last week, or they don't call it Mile High anymore. What is that stadium? Entergy, or I forget.
Yeah.
But I remember the replacement center that had to come in because the other center went into the tent, snapping the ball into his own thigh. And then Josh Allen having to scramble with the ball because it went rolling back to him and so forth. Mm-hmm. So I get it. You want to fire this coach? Winningest coach in the NFL since 2020. The winningest coach. 73-27. This guy will be picked up like that, Pete. So more power to him. I mean, I'm guessing up in Buffalo, Pete, he probably wasn't getting the 12 to 15 million. He was probably, just kind of coasting along with an $8 million contract or whatever, which is a lot of money. But I think this guy will be right up there with Harbaugh in terms of, his agent's going to get him that $100 million for 5-year kind of contract. And wherever he goes, this guy's going to be a winner, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you, John. I mean, like we've said, though, not for long in this league. I mean, they just replace it. And you know what? People think this is crazy. They go, oh, this is a record, 10 coaching jobs. Had 10 coaching jobs in 2022 that opened up as well. So it's not like this is the first and only time that it's been kind of chaos, but it is chaos going on right now. And I don't know if it's true or not, John, but Cignetti allegedly had a phone call with Buffalo. They called him. So let's hope he stays in Indiana because I love where the guy is and I love his style and he's fun to watch. And the fact that he actually finally broke into a smile when they won was pretty classic as well. How about the NFC West, John? I kind of teased that. I just wanted to hit that really quick okay, so the 49ers, the defense hurt. But look where they got to with a team that literally had everybody hurt at some point during the season there, right? Other than McCaffrey, who finally stayed pretty damn healthy for most of the season. But Seahawks are absolutely unbelievable. The Rams also pretty damn good. And I know that you're sad about the Bears, but the Rams and the Bears, that was a pretty damn good game, I would say. I think Caleb showed that he's a winner generally or whatever, and he had some great passes in that game and some great plays that happened in that game. How about this, John? The Seahawks are the number 10 rushing team. They also are number 3 in terms of their score because they put up 28 points per game. I mean, I look at that and you just say, well, who are they even behind? Well, it's the Rams. The Rams have 30.5 points per game. They're the top in the entire NFL. So when you look at this NFC and you look at the Seahawks and the Rams and they're playing against each other, I think the cool thing is these are the best 2 teams on that side of of football, on the the NFC side of football. And I probably would say that it's too bad the quarterback is hurt, Bo Nix, but I think you could have said the same thing about that one if you still had Bo Nix. I think, unfortunately, that's going to really be difficult for them. John Stitham is a great kid, great quarterback, but he wasn't able to do it with the Raiders. And I just wonder, without having taken a snap, it's going to be a difficult game, I would think, for Denver, on the offensive side. But so what do you think about those two games that are coming up?
Yeah, I think, we'd all love to see a Carson Wentz kind of situation where the kid is able to lead, Denver Broncos against New England. But Drake May, Pete, and that team, and especially with Vrabel being, as good as he was on defense as a player and as strong as his defensive teams have been as a coach, both at Tennessee and now up here with New England, I got to think they're going to be putting a lot of pressure on Stidham, just like you said. So, and without a passing game that is something better than, just okay, I don't think they have a chance against New England. So I think, New England gets not a cakewalk, but I think they get in there pretty easily. And then it's a question of, if Seattle plays their game, the Rams will get slaughtered.
Yeah.
If the Rams play out of their minds and get the breaks from that oblong ball, I guess they could win.
I don't disagree with you. By the way, last thing, and then we can head out. But Indiana, once again, it's the best story ever, and it's real. I mean, the crazy thing is, John, you could put a movie out there and you go, yeah, but stuff like that doesn't happen. It really just doesn't happen. It's all BS. These guys in Hollywood do this. They don't need to change not one piece of this thing, John. You go back to last year, and they were unbelievably good. And they got, pretty damn far before they finally got knocked out. This year, how about if I told you this, by the way? Their final games, they played against Ohio State. They beat them. They played in the playoff. They played Alabama, beat them 38-3. They played Oregon, beat them 56-22, 56 points. They beat Miami last night, 27-21. I mean, what else could you want? And all of a sudden, you got some of those hits just to add a little color to it, John, where they're cheap-shotting the guy. And he, his lip is freaking gushing out blood and everything else. But that run, the run that Mendoza got to get into the end zone after twisting and turning and spinning and getting the crap kicked out of him, and then the lunge over. I mean, Hollywood can't do it any better than what they had. And it's truly unbelievable. And I don't even know how you could possibly measure this thing up against any other team or game or anything. And I know everybody says, well, the U back in the day, they had the greatest team ever because of this, that, and the other. Yeah, they did. They had a bunch of draft picks and everything else. But you know what? That was back in the day when NIL existed, but it just happened to be illegal too. So,
under the table.
So the NIL money was going, hey, here you go, fella. Now it's a little bit different. But I'll tell you, it really is a storybook, right? I mean, I have everything about how the season went and how they kept, and everybody didn't believe it. They didn't believe it. They didn't believe it. And then all of a sudden, you beat Ohio State, suddenly they start believing a little bit more, and then all of a sudden Alabama
beat Oregon twice.
Yeah. So you can't make it up. You really just can't make it up. And, you could see it watching that game last night, just who they are, what they are. I think they were very classy throughout the game. Personally, I thought they really played well because they could have started getting pretty angry about those late hits, John, and maybe had some of those on their own. They didn't do it. They didn't react. Obviously, Cignetti said, look, you ain't going to respond to that. Let's just keep on going. Pretty amazing.
Yep. Amazing. I'll say this, Pete. There are a lot of people in Georgia that were happy when that interception came at the end of the game from Beck. Because they were not happy when he left Georgia. And the fact that he brought Miami all the way to the verge of a national title, they were not happy, but they were happy finally when he threw that interception. A lot of those kids are going to be playing on Sunday. And in the case of Indiana, they're not kids. They're men. Because, as you know, Cignetti had a lot of folks that he got that are 23, 24, 25 years old. But then, you know, Miami, it's not like they can't do the same thing. It's not like he came up with some magic formula. He just said, give me the men versus the kids. And, you know, they're going to be playing on Sunday, though, Pete. Yeah. And Mendoza's brother, allegedly, Pete, has entered the portal. And the reason is, of course, they picked up that other quarterback out of the portal. So I don't know if it's true or not. It was reported, I think, on CBS that he's entered and going to be leaving. But we'll have to see. I think that's a storybook season. And like you said, that storybook touchdown by them at the end. The block punt was pretty special as well. That's something, you know, again, Miami, they play kind of loose and in some cases dirty, but you got to do more than just make a bad attempt at a chip on that guy when he's coming straight at the punter. And he only got the one arm up, you know, to block it. And yeah, that's the difference in the game, really.
The last thing I'll say about that game, and then we can leave it, but I'll tell you what, John, he had to raise his arm. Mendoza, the Heisman Trophy winner, had to raise his arm to show his black and blue arm from here down. I have not seen an arm look like that in a really long time. I mean, they were putting a beating on him, and all he did was just respond, and just kept his focus because this was black and blue. I'm not kidding. If you get a chance to see it at the end of the game after he did some interviews, I'm like, wow, that is something that he was able to hold on. And I can't remember if it was his left or right arm, but if it was his throwing arm, that makes it even more extraordinary. So really, that was a fun year of college football. I will say that.
It was. Well, we'll be back with another Rebels Edge tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern time. We appreciate all of you joining us. We hope you share whatever parts of this or the whole thing that you like. And I'll see you tomorrow, Pete. I'll be in Paris.
Nice.
But I'll see you then. Thanks.
See ya.